Strike one. Strike two. Strike three. Out of here. Some may call him the six-toed submariner, but in the Freak Nation, he's a badass. It's time we get ziggy with it with the Diamondbacks' Brad Ziegler. Now.
And about this time every Tuesday afternoon, or when he freaking feels like it, wakes his butt out of bed and wants to join the Freak Nation. His name, of course, Brad Ziegler, a submariner, a.k.a. submariner, joined the Freaks, Fox Sports 910. And BZ, I'm sure you've heard the story in regards to P. Diddy and him being charged with 3 assault charges involving his son at UCLA. And we were asking the questions of the Freak Nation about helicopter dads, helicopter parenting. You've had to have seen some gnarly helicopter mom and dads through your tenure of playing baseball.
Sure. at any level. I don't know if I feel like naming names, but yeah, you could go back to, like high school, college, and definitely minor leagues and pros. Even still in the big leagues, you see some stuff every once in a while.
Did you see parents in college and some of the single or double A ball that you played going off on coaches because they weren't playing their son or something like that?
In college for sure. I know there was discussions, and our coach sat everybody down one time and said, like, look, I'm not going to talk to your parents. If you want to talk to me, you can come to me like a man and talk to me, and I'll be open and frank with you about things. But I'm not going to have those discussions with your parents. And I think it stemmed from one of the parents going to him. And so, but that shut that off really quickly.
Have you seen, does anything come to mind back as a teenager in high school? One thing in particular of a mom or dad that kind of either embarrassed you or the team or the player per se or your teammate?
No, not. I mean, at least nothing that I can remember. There's the the standard. We had a pretty good team, and so there wasn't a whole lot of complaining going on, from the stands in that respect. So there's anything I can vividly remember. But I'm just thinking in general of like parents that, even if it didn't have anything to do with playing time or anything on the field, just the idea that they get so involved in their kid's life that they become a huge distraction.
I had a buddy on the high school basketball team, and he was like the 12th man. He was on the end of the bench, and his father was fairly reserved. He wouldn't say anything, but we would go to the games.
Oh, no.
And we would take it upon ourselves to put man in the game!
Oh.
So we would have fun with that. I guess that's one of the examples I can think of. But, yeah,
Right.
there's always the helicopter.
So helicopter friending?
Yeah, I guess that kind of works. But ours was kind of in a satirical way.
But Ziegler, does it get out of hand for you at times, or the Diamondbacks at times, with heckling from the stands to where you've got to call security at times?
Yeah, there's times. The problem is you don't it's never happened in Arizona. There's been a couple times on the road. The problem is if you go and call security in the middle of the game, they know they've gotten to you at that point. And so what we try to do is just gut through it for that night, whatever's being said, and then talk to them after the game or pregame the next day and say, look, we got to have better security down in the bullpen, while we're warming up, because it's, it was way out of hand. And, most of the time they're pretty good about responding to that.
Ziegs, do you have a problem with me going helicopter dad for you on your behalf if you get snubbed from the All-Star team?
You can. I mean, it's not like I can control you. So
yeah.
Do whatever you want. It just may, depending on how far you go, I may have to go to every other week on the show instead of every week.
Brad Ziegler joins us here on the Freaks of Fox Sports 910 Phoenix, and I hadn't even noticed that you hadn't made an All-Star game in your career. And looking at your numbers, that's shocking.
Well, thanks. It's it would definitely be a fun honor. But it's just one of those things that's completely out of my hands. There's nothing I can do about it, so I don't worry about it. We every year we make plans for what we're going to do over the break, and then there's always kind of like the set of contingency plans just in case, just in case it happens to where everything's got to change on really short notice. We don't want it to be chaos at that point. We want it to be something that we've already kind of figured out what we're going to do, and that way we can enjoy it a little more if it ever does happen.
Speaking of All-Star Game, what would you do to continue to make a push for A.J. Pollock? I mean, Goldie's pretty much a lock now, but it seems like A.J. Pollock's not getting the love.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, it's he's probably not going to catch anybody in votes. So at that point, it's going to come down to hopefully when Bruce Bochy sits down and is picking the team. Hopefully AJ gets a lot of respect from the players, and maybe he'll be a player selection. If not, then he definitely has earned a spot on the team, and so it's hopefully the Giants coaching staff will realize that and acknowledge it, and that they won't be kind of handicapped by the roster limitations of maybe some guys get voted in by the fans that maybe don't deserve it. And I haven't looked at the voting yet, so I don't know where it stands. But if there's some guys that maybe don't deserve it as much as others, then that there's always going to be some snubs, and you just kind of hope that he's not one of them.
Back to regarding your talents, Ziegs. Do you feel secure with your position on the Diamondbacks? I mean, we've talked about how you just never know come, that deadline. You never know what's going to happen. And right now, your value is freaking through the roof right now with the team. We, of course, don't want to lose you, but do you honestly feel secure?
Secure in staying?
Yes.
No, I don't ever feel that way. The only time I felt that way, probably in my entire tenure, is it's every year after the trade deadline, or last year, like when I had my knee injury. I knew they weren't going to trade me while I was hurt, because that would have put my value at about as low as it possibly could be. So it was just. But right now, like I have no idea what their thought process is, but I'd say there's a pretty strong chance that I would be traded, and if it happens, then I'll accept it and try to get acquainted with my new teammates real quickly, and if not, then obviously I'm happy here and like the things that this team is doing right now.
So what can we as fans do to keep you here? Should we just start calling Derek Hall and say, don't even think about it?
Talk about helicopter parents. Mr. Hall, this is Crash Gladys.
There's nothing I can do, so there's.
I know.
I'm assuming there's probably nothing anybody else can do either.
But it's interesting because Tony La Russa comes out yesterday with a comment saying that he feels the team is just a couple players away from contention, and I would think that you're part of that team going forward. But I get what you're saying. I mean, this being a business, if the right deal comes along, they're going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, you just don't know. He talked about the certain core of players, but he didn't name any names. And obviously, you got to think Goldie and Pollock are part of that. But outside of them, you just don't know who all the players are that they see as the core, and then who else they see as expendable to try to get some more players to put into that core. So if I don't know, a lot of it, honestly, it might have a lot to do with how we play in the next week or the next month or so. We're going to get Patrick Corbin back here in a couple weeks, and that could be a pretty good shot in the arm for our starting pitching. And if that's the case, like maybe we make a run at it, and if we're 2.5, 3.5 back at the deadline, I think it'd be a lot harder at that point to deal some of the veteran players than it would be if we go in a slump and all of a sudden we're 9 back at the deadline. Then they'll probably start looking toward next year.
Trying to look at this Bronson Arroyo took it to Sant deal to the Atlanta Braves. How is that being perceived in the clubhouse?
I think everybody, you kind of have mixed feelings about it, because in a sense, it's kind of like, okay, well, we're trading one of our top prospects to essentially just get some financial freedom. The question is, what are we going to do with the financial freedom? Is it something where this year, if we do play well here in the next month, are they going to go and get a piece or two to finish out this year with that extra money, or are they going to wait till the off season and put it toward next year? At the same time, he's a top prospect, but he's also, high school arms are a crapshoot. And even though, he's really young and has a ton of talent, and there's nothing to think that he's not going to advance right now, there's always an attrition rate that's really high on the first round high school arms. And so it's just a matter of what they feel like that he was a 5 or 6 year project to get to the big leagues and to be an established starter by that point. They don't want to wait that long. They don't want to, they want to do something quicker, and that money up front allows them to do that.
His name, Brad Ziegler, joining the Freaks of Fox Sports 910. Brad Ziegler, you don't want some freaks, helicopter parents hovering around you. Trust me, you do not want that, buddy.
I believe you. You don't have to convince me.
And did I read somewhere was you just snapped up on your 500th appearance?
Yeah, that's kind of crazy because it seems like a really big number, and I've done it in, essentially 7 years and almost 7 years and 1 month of big league service right now. So it's averaging a little over 70 appearances a year, and it just seems like it's kind of crazy that number got to me so quick.
Yeah, and that ERA under 2.5, you're in some pretty elite company there.
Yeah, that list, when I saw that list, that was kind of a little mind-blowing a little bit with some of the names on that list. And, you look at every single one of those pitchers, except for me, was a strikeout pitcher. And so they went about getting there a completely different way. And that's why I think a lot of times, it feels like maybe it's a little uncomfortable to be on a list like that because those guys were such dominant pitchers and everybody knows their names. And then there's me where it's like I feel like if half the baseball fans in the country know my name, I've done a pretty good job.
Strikeouts are boring. Double plays are sexy.
Yes, they are. That's your
yeah.
hashtag.
You're about the only person on the planet that believes that. If that's what you truly believe.
Hey,
So it's fun. It's fun to get out of an inning, though. I'll say that if they use a double play to get out of an inning, that's a lot of fun. It does kind of fire the crowd up a little bit.
you saw how the other night how your tug on the sleeve was blowing up on Twitter, right?
Oh man.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay.
It was Crash Davis that said.
It's just funny to me that it took this long for you all to finally see it.
Blame the cameraman.
Cameras are showing. Most of the time, maybe they focus on the hitters that are coming up or whatever. But I do it all the time, and so for it to just pop up there now, I was like, golly, it took him forever.
Yeah. And it was Crash Davis, though, not Crash Gladys, that said that ground balls are more democratic and, strikeouts, they're boring and fascist.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
When you're trying to get to a young hothead, trying to get into his brain and get him to think a little bit, then you got to say stuff like that.
True.
BZ, man, we know we got people tugging at you. You like the way I said that? Tugging at you. Thanks for doing this, as always, buddy.
No problem. Anytime.
Go tugging, all right?
Jeez.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks.
You got it. Brad Ziegler joining the Freaks of Fox Sports 910. And